For today's class, I want to work on returning to center. So the idea of midline stabilization and accessing the core by finding the midline of the body. So we're going to utilize the foam roller and then also the Coregeous ball. You could also use a block. I want to use the Coregeous ball just as for between our knees. We're going to take it to the wall to do a couple stabilization exercises. So a block could also do. And then I do want to end in sitting, and I will sit on this ball. If you have a big therapy ball, you could sit on that. If you have a couple blocks or even a bolster or even the foam, you can sit on the foam. But I just want to find at the end then some seated pelvic alignment, mobility, and stability. So let's just hold the ball or block to the side and let's find our foam rollers and just lie right down on it with the foam along your spine. As you arrive on your back, maybe you even take the ball between your knees for a little additional stability if you see the knees converge or diverge, so that you maintain that neutral orientation in the femurs as an extension of that midline orientation. And just arrive here. Take a couple breaths. Reconnect your breath and body. Allow your awareness to drop from your head right into the torso. And let your awareness follow the breath like an elevator, ascending and descending along that midline channel of the spine. Just taking a few breaths, noticing if there's anywhere along the spine where you feel the breath move freely and easily. And then notice, is there anywhere that it's difficult to feel that breath? And without forcing, maybe keep your awareness there for a few rounds. And then you'll start to notice, by just maintaining awareness, that the breath starts to flood that area. And then trace the breath one more time without movement along the entire length of the spine. At the end of the exhale, feeling yourself sink even a little bit more into the foam. And now let's begin to connect some breath with the movement. As you inhale, let the pelvis drop towards the heels so that you get a little arch or lift of the spine. And then as you exhale, feel a little scooping of the tailbone. Tail moves towards the space between the knees. And then the inhale drives a little arch. And then the exhale creates little lengthening and scooping in the low back to the tailbone. Breath and movement connecting, creating really gentle movement along this midline of the body. And then allow the other end of the spine to start to play a role. Notice first how the chin follows the tail. So as the tailbone moves down towards your feet and down towards the floor, see how the chin moves similarly. And then as you tuck the tail, feel the chin lift up towards the sky so that you're syncing the sacrum with the cranial movement. Allowing the spine, the pelvis, and the head to move in sync with one another. Coming back to the breath. And then resting in neutral. Find the full arch. Find the full round. And then find that spot right in the middle where the sacrum is resting flat on the foam roller. And then now, bring your hands, your thumbs, to the bottom point of the ribs. And then bring your middle fingers right towards that front bony landmark, your ASIS. And then try to get them on the same plane. So you may notice that the tailbone's really scooped and that the ASIS is diving down, or that it's really arched and it's reaching towards the heels. So find that spot right in the middle for the ASIS, and then do the same at the ribs. Can you pop the ribs out, stick out the chest, lift the back off? Then can you round the back and sink the ribs? And find that spot right in the middle again. And then now breathe in, expand your back into the foam. And then as you exhale, feel a drawing in from all of those 4 points towards the navel center. And then the belly button sinks down like a weight right into the foam. Do that again, maybe 2 more rounds. Just feel the inhale, fill the back. Breath fills along the spine. And then as you exhale, there's a pulling into center right around the navel. One more time, do that. And the spine doesn't even move. It's more of a cinching and stabilizing action. And we'll find this again in a little while when we flip over onto our hands and knees. And then now this is your stabilizing center here. Equal plane of the ribs and the pelvis. And then really you want the sense of equal space in the back and the front of the body. And then there's this grounding right in that area below the navel of the top edge of the sacrum, anchored or rooted into the foam. And from this place of midline central stabilization along the spine, we'll start to create peripheral movements. So inhale, let the shoulder blades rise up towards the ears. And then exhale, let the shoulder blades drop towards the heels. Just moving the shoulder blades. Let the arms stay really relaxed. Continuing to sync your breath with the movement. Inhale up, exhale down. Notice if you can keep a stable spine. Awareness right along that midline column of the body. And notice if as you start to move the shoulder blades, the rest of the spine wants to move. Can you cultivate a separation of movement? And then what happens is you drop the shoulder blades back and then round the shoulder blades forward. Can you separate along this plane of motion? Shoulder blades back. Exhale, shoulder blades forward. Spine is still grounded into your foam roller. Keeping your awareness right along that midline column, feeling each breath move up and down that elevator of the spine. Spine supported on the foam. Extremities moving around the midline. And then release. Just take your blocker ball out from between your knees and take it now between your hands. We're going to do the exact same motion we were just doing. And notice if there's a little instability now that you've removed the ball from between your knees. Press the feet into the floor. Find another grounding point so that you feel that anchor of the feet as well as the anchor of just below the navel at the top of the sacrum. So spine imprinted into the foam. Now let the shoulder blades drop back. Exhale, let the shoulder blades reach towards the sky. Without moving the arms, just moving the shoulder blades, can you feel how your block or your ball moves back towards the floor and then up towards the sky? Take 3 more rounds of breath. 2 more. Last one. And then you can remove the ball or the block, maybe put it back. Now, let's create a longer lever. So we just first moved the shoulder blades, a really small lever arm from the spine, but now we'll use the extension of the full arms. So breathe in here, and then as you exhale, lengthen. Breathe in here, and then and switch all the way. Reach long through the arms without losing the spinal alignment, and then exhale, switch all the way. Notice if as you move the arms, the spine wants to let go or lift. Can you keep that contact the whole time? And switch. One more round in each direction, just feeling that the arms move away from midline while keeping a stable spine. All of your awareness, that spine pressing into the foam, your feet pressing into the earth, and then arms moving freely. On the next exhale, let both arms drop down to the floor. We're going to shift the movement now to the lower body. It's oftentimes easier to begin by moving the arms and seeing what happens in the rib cage. Now, let's ground the hands. I like to even think about tenting the fingers to really activate that suction cup in the palms. And feel as you suction the palms, can you feel that suctioning right into the low belly at the top of the sacrum, your physiological or gravitational center? Now, notice if already there's a little instability. Breathe in here. Exhale and stabilize. On the next exhale, you'll lift the right leg. Breathe in. Exhale without moving along the midline. Pull the right knee into the chest. Inhale down. Stay with the right side. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale right into the core, grounds into the foam. Your foam is giving you feedback or cue to stay in midline and isolate hip mobility around the stable spine. Take one more round. And then come back to center. Reorient yourself. Maybe let go and just do a couple pelvic tilts, almost the sense of resetting with a cat or cow. And then now come to the other side. Breathe in, exhale, ground that whole abdominal region, the entire spine, rib cage and pelvis into the foam. Feel the exhale allow you to give into gravity. So gravity is assisting the feedback along the back of the spine. Now breathe in. Exhale, left knee pulls into the chest. Notice if there's a wobble. Inhale, leg taps down. Exhale. Inhale. Connecting breath to movement. Exhale, feel the compression into the foam. Spine stays stable. Take one more round. And then reset. Now let's see if we can alternate side to side. Make it a little bit more functional. Come into a functional movement. So reset that pelvis, find so that you're not arching or you're not tucking, but the whole sacrum is grounding into the foam. Ribs are grounding into the foam, so the back of the spine is long and firmly pressed into your roller. Again, tense the fingertips so that you feel the suction cups in the hands coordinate with that suction cup in the low belly. Now, alternating sides. Exhale, right leg lifts, lower down. Exhale, left leg lifts, lower down. Inhale, right. Sinking one breath to movement. The entire time staying stable on your foam roller. Doing 2 more rounds on each side, and then we'll continue to progress this midline movement. So pausing just for a resting breath. And then on the next round, I'm going to have you lift the left arm with the right leg. And look, now it looks like I'm walking on my back. And then come down. Stepping with the left foot, come back down. Notice if one side feels more stable. Can you feel the connection of the left hand and right foot as the opposite side lifts? Then can you feel the left foot and right hand connect as the opposite side lifts? So that you feel the stable side as well as the mobile side. First, grounding into stability, and then feeling the freedom of movement of the mobile arm and leg. The movement can also be really little. The bigger the movement, the more displacement. So if you want to downgrade it a little bit so that you focus on more stabilization, if you feel like you're all over the place, bring it down. Or you can even bring it up. Arm could come all the way up overhead. Do 2 more on each side. And then relax just for a second. We'll have one more progression on here, making this same functional type movement unsupported now, so that you're really rooting into the foam. Then we'll change orientations to gravity to find our core in a different direction. So I like to start totally on our back so that we have a lot of feedback to find that center. Now next we'll turn over, and then we won't have the same feedback on our spine. So this initial work will help carry over that knowledge. So now bring both legs up so that the knees are pressing together. The sacrum is still flat, and notice this wobbly movement. And then now, see if you can tap down to the floor and then come back up. Use those hands still like suction cups, that sucking up with the palms as you kind of pressurize down with the front of the sacrum. You can stay here. If that's too much, come back to your marching. Or if you want one final progression here, maybe you lift arm and opposite leg. One side's a lot easier for me. So as one leg goes down, the other arm might come up. Whoop. And it's okay if you wobble. Just play. So find a little playfulness. Find your edge of stability. Through finding your edge, you'll be able to play that edge. You'll be able to expand that edge a little bit. And then if at any time you start to feel disconnected from your body, that it becomes a head game, come back to stillness. Feel your spine drop into the foam. And then feel your breath, and then begin again. Take a few more breaths here, just playing. And we'll be able to find this play in a bunch of other positions. So don't worry. And then go ahead and release everything down towards the floor. Roll right off of your foam and just lie flat onto your back. It's gonna feel amazing to let the legs come out. Maybe the arms even reach up overhead, taking up as much space as you can on your mat, and then completely surrendering any effort. So now you really feel the spine drop into the mat. Just notice the awareness of your body. First sensing the back body. Then sensing the front body. Sensing the left side of the body. The right side of the body. And then sensing the whole body. Surface of the body and inside of the body, the entire body, completely supported, balanced, and at ease. And then now let's roll over. Let's roll over onto our bellies and prop up onto our elbows. So now as we move onto our bellies, our spine is no longer supported. So we'll have to use more internal cues to find center again. So to begin, let's just come into what I like to call a baby plank to activate the front aspect of the core now. So we just really worked on engaging the back body into the support. Now let's work on engaging through the front line of the body. So to begin that, I just want to get a little shoulder blade push up so that the only thing moving is the shoulder blades along the rib cage first. Feel the shoulder blades come together just like you did on the foam, and then feel the shoulder blades push apart like you did while holding your block or ball and reaching towards the sky. Draw them together. Draw them apart. Make sure you're driving the motion with the shoulder blades along the rib cage. Stabilizing the upper part of the spine. And then now on the next time you push the floor away, I want you to push the floor away so much that it starts to engage the abdominals so that you start to feel a little quiver in the abs as the pelvis lifts up off the floor. You may even bring your gaze towards your belly button and try to feel like you're pulling your navel up towards the nose. Take 5 breaths here. Keep pushing the floor away for 4, 3, keep breathing. Count the breaths, not the seconds. Last exhale, and lower yourself down. Even press your hands into the floor. Pull the chest forward, get a little baby back bend here so that you come out of the abdominals. And then let's do that together 2 more times. Press the elbows into the floor, get that little shoulder blade push up. And then press so much that it starts to pull the pelvis up off of the floor. You start to feel the navel draw up and back into the pelvis. And then it starts to draw up under the rib cage towards the nose. Hold for 5 breaths. Keep pressing through the full forearm. Take a couple more breaths. And then release down. Draw back through the forearm so that you feel a length now through the front body. Coming into the counter pose or opposite. Letting your breath return to normal. And then we'll do that one more time. Press down into the floor. Push through the shoulder blades. Get that shoulder blade push up to restore the thoracic curve. Push so much that you start to feel the lifting of the pelvis. And pause for 5 breaths. Feel that quiver, that internal strength, cultivating that internal awareness of midline along the front line of the spine. Shake the head no. Make sure the jaw, neck, and teeth aren't clenching. Take one more round of breath. And then release. Draw the chest forward, shoulder blades drop down the back. Neck is long. Gaze is to about where the wall and the floor meet. And then now, bring your hands under your shoulders. Engage the belly in the same way to lift you up towards hands and knees. find a neutral spine position. So to do that, just like we did on the foam, first arch the back and then round the back, feeling the full limit of movement. Bringing it through a full round. And then resting in neutral. Spread the fingertips. And without lifting the whole hand this time, try to create that same suction cup through the hand so that you're feeling all of the fingers press into the floor. Look at your hands so that the index finger is pointing straight forward. So the pointer finger is pointing right to 12 o'clock. And then feel the arms and the palms engage. Just do a couple of those shoulder blade push-ups here. See if with a full straight arm, you can still feel the shoulder blades move along the rib cage. Then do a couple of pelvic tilts and see if you can find a neutral position of the pelvis without moving the spine now, as if the foam were still behind you. Draw the navel back. And then I want you to push away with the hands so much, just like you did on the elbows, and then draw up with the navel so much that you hover the knees the tiniest bit off the floor without losing that neutral spine position. This is just where we started when we were over on our backs with our arms and legs up towards the air. Can you hold this for 3 more breaths? And then lower down. Do that one more time. Again, coming into the belly, lengthening through the whole length of the spine. Press the shoulder blades away, pull the navel up and back, and you're just going to barely hover the knees so that you feel the core kick in to keep the spine stable. Holding that for 5 breaths. Using that like you're blowing out a candle, or you're fogging a mirror, to feel the diaphragm and the breath helping stabilize the midline. 1 more breath. And then release. Maybe find another cat and cow. You should start to feel a little internal heat building. So there may be a little more effort or work than some of the other classes. And then just sit back to child's pose for a moment before we move on. Find center again here. Noticing if you can feel the midline of the body. And then come back up towards hands and knees. So just as we did on our backs, we're going to do the same thing, hands and knees. So we worked on lengthening that lever arm of the upper body and lower body along a stable spine. So this is a pretty traditional core stabilization exercise, but I'm going to do a slight variation. So I'll just show you the regular one first and then how I like to adapt it, just for a little bit more feedback. Because here we're trying to use feedback to reconnect to center. So the traditional exercise that we call, for some odd reason, a bird dog, is where we straighten one leg out, then the opposite arm out, and then we hold a neutral spine. It's not a lifting of the leg and an arching, but it's a lengthening long through both ends of the spine, taking up as much space, keeping the pelvis level, not twisting. So to do that, I really love to change directions so that I have a foot against the wall, and that back foot can push into the wall so that you feel that lengthening out. So it'll be a little hard for you to see because I'm facing towards you, but I'm going to straighten my back leg out so that the foot is against the wall. And I can push the heel into the wall, keeping the pelvis neutral. And then I'm just going to slide that foot up a little bit. So it's not going way up so that I'm arching my back. It's right around neutral, toes pointing down, push through the heel. As I push through the heel, I'm going to pull in through the belly and keep pressing the floor away through my shoulder blades as I activate the hands. Then when I feel really stable, without moving anything, I'm going to lengthen my opposite arm forward. I want to reach my right arm and my left leg as far apart from one another as possible. While I'm feeling this lengthening through the midline of the body, through the spine. So visualize as if you're still on your back. That spine is pressing into the foam roller. Lower ribs are pulling in towards the navel. Sacrum is flat. Belly button now, just like the palms, are suctioning up. And my whole body's reaching long for 2 more breaths. And then release. If you want a little extra feedback, maybe even put your foam roller on your back and notice if it wobbles. So find that middle point. Press the right leg back. Right heel pushes into the wall. Oops. Then allow it to raise up just a little bit so it's in neutral. Pressing through the right heel. Both hands push into the floor. Suction through the palms and through the low belly. Then reach the left arm forward. Hold for 5 breaths. And then release. Keeping that foam there. Staying nice and stable in the midline. Try one more time on each side. Keeping the pelvis really stable, press back through the left heel. Left heel presses into the wall like you're in a push-up position. Then slide the leg up just a little bit. Then reach the right arm forward. Reaching as long as you can, keeping the orientation to midline. Keeping equal space in both sides of the low back. Feeling the front of the sacrum as your center of gravity, around which everything is balancing. And then release down arm and then leg. Last time here. Pressing the right leg back, heel presses into the wall. Feel the right gluteal activate. Then you can slide the leg up the wall, lengthening out through the whole right side as long as possible. Then stretching the left arm forward. Suction through the right hand and the front border of the sacrum. Can you continue to feel the breath like an elevator ascend and descend along the midline column of the spine? And release. Remove the foam. Coming off of hands and knees, we have one more position that will feel these same patterns in. So this is my favorite, which I think I've done with all of you before. I really love this variation because it gets the glutes, the core, and that arm reach. We're gonna come onto our backs, and I like to do it against the wall. So you're still by the wall if you used it for the bird dog. Oh, and you don't need this. And this is like, I like to call it supine running. So it's like a running man on your back. So it really gets the whole core, pelvis, everything working and stabilizing. So coming onto your back, feel that neutral position of the spine. Feel the ribs pull down, feel the sacrum long. Exhale and feel the belly button and that space right in the front of the sacrum. Drop back. We'll start by pressing the left leg into the wall. So push your left heel into the wall, drag your left heel down towards the floor. Turn on the hamstring and glute on the left side. Right hand fingertips are creating that suction cup out like a low V. Kind of like the arm is swinging back almost. Press the arm into the floor. Now, pull your right knee into your chest like you're sprinting or running. And as the right knee pulls into the chest, the left arm reaches out and you get that shoulder blade push. So we're finding all the patterns we've worked. Now we're going to drive down through the left heel, drive up through the right knee, and reach with the left arm. You should feel a lot of things kick in. Left shoulder blade, core, left glute. Hold for 5 breaths. With each breath, ramp up all of that contraction just a little bit more. Yet at the same time, feel the length and the breath move along the entire central column of the spine. Last round. And then release. Switch sides. Press the right foot into the wall. Drag the right heel down. Feel the hamstring and glute engage on the right. Now pull the left knee into your chest and drive the right shoulder blade towards the sky. Hand reaches right through midline. Now, left hand presses into the ground. Create that little suction cup. Feel the entire length through the midline. And exhale, contract. With each exhalation, you're engaging all of those actions a little bit more. So by the 5th breath, you should feel like you're sprinting. Coming down, take one more round on each side. Press your left foot into the wall, right knee into chest, left arm reaches so that whole shoulder blade comes away from the wall. Breathe in. Exhale, drive through the left heel and the right knee. Core and left glute should really be firing up. And then release. Last time, pressing through the right heel, pulling in through the left knee, reach the right shoulder blade away from the floor. 5 breaths here. Each exhale drives a little bit more. Feel the breath move along the entire spine. 2 more breaths. And release. Bring your feet to the floor. Maybe rock your knees side to side. Allow the spine to rotate freely now. Just letting go of any work, any tension. Let the legs release, feeling that rotational motion like a spine, like a wave up the entire spine. And then if it feels good, rotate. Let the legs stay over to the right, coming into a spinal twist. Pausing for a couple breaths. And then rotating to the other side, pausing for a few breaths. Letting go completely, feeling the change and the effect of the practice, observing the change in mobility, the change in breath, and the change in your emotions or feeling state. What is the energetic sense now after doing this work to find your center? And then roll to your side, pressing your hands into the floor. Let's come up to a seated position, taking a moment before we finish the class. I'm going to take a seat. I'm actually going to sit on my foam roller. And if you'd like, you could even take your ball underneath your pelvis. This will give you just a little bit more height, a little bit more feedback. This is also great to do on a big physio ball. And so as you arrive here, just feel the pelvis, feel the heaviness of the pelvis, the base of your spine. Reconnect to gravity. And beginning or finishing where we began, come back to the sensation of the breath like an elevator ascending and descending each vertebrae or each floor of the spine. Taking these tools now into gravity, into our position of daily function, carrying over the work that we've done. Observe if as you come into gravity, there are any places where you lose contact or awareness with the breath and the spine. Pausing there, allowing awareness and breath to rush in. And then finding your pelvis, finding that pelvic mobility forward and backward now in gravity. Tipping the pelvis forward. This could even just be done sitting on a chair, tipping the pelvis back, feeling yourself roll back, roll forward, and then landing right in the middle. As you land right in the middle, feel that anchor, those roots, reaching down into the support beneath you, creating a foundation so the spine can rise out of. Feeling the length, feeling the strength. but feeling as well that freeness and mobility of the spine. Staying in that strength, reach the arms up with the next inhalation. And then exhale, finish, pulling the hands right down to your heart. Pausing in gratitude for your breath, for your body, and for the practice. And then take your hands to your belly, resting in your internal strength, remembering that this is always with you and you can come back here anytime as you move from this practice and your mat back into daily life. Thank you so much. Thank you for your beautiful practice, your hard work, and for continuing to show up. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.